Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor with another Trumpology report, and I think it's time we talked about Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon has become one of Trump's most trusted advisors and most influential advisors. And he seems to be, according to many people who I've watched on TV, the power behind the throne. Bannon is a radical white nationalist who, by his own admission, he has openly admitted that he wants to blow everything up. Okay, so we got to take a look at this man's chart, and I am going to jump the gun a little bit and mention that the ultimate rebelling on his part, the time when he will, if there is any exploding to be done, will occur in 2019 and 2020. I have looked ahead. I want to take it, step by step rather than a whole year at a time, because there's so much going on. Every day there's another story. So, all right, Steve Bannon, don't go away. Here it is, right here. Okay, somebody asked me to please put the degrees in, and unfortunately it clutters everything, but I'm going to give them to you verbally, okay? This is Steve Bannon's solar chart. Again, I don't have a birth time on him, which means that we have to use a solar chart. However, the solar chart is incredibly helpful. As you look at it, you'll be able to see that. First of all, you can see that he has Jupiter, the planet of abundance, in his 7th house. And this helps him beautifully in the one-on-one situation. That is very, very important to him. The 8th house, the house of secrets and unearthing secrets, also the house of other people's money, has Uranus, the rebel, in it. And the South Node, which tells us Uranus is the South Node is 25 Cancer, Uranus is 26 Cancer. They're right next to each other, so there is a tendency to explode no matter what the cost, to rebel, and to act independently, innovatively, and unpredictably when it comes to other people's values and other people's money. He has Pluto, the planet of control or transformation. I should hold this closer to the screen, in his 9th house. And so the 9th house is the house of our beliefs, our principles, the things we're willing to take a stand for. And Pluto, as the planet of control or total annihilation, bringing out with the old, in with the new, is up there in his 9th house. So he believes in control and in transformation. He can bring about a whole new way of looking at things. Because we don't have an exact birth time for him, his moon, which is what he's instinctively drawn to, is either in the 9th house of beliefs and foreign travel and foreign communication, people from other nations. So you can see this is very big for him. Or it's in his 10th house of the leader. Either one of those fits, doesn't it? Now look at his 11th house. Whenever you have planets in the 11th house, you are a true humanitarian and you believe in what's best for the group is best for the individuals within the group. And that's just what's so. I love the 11th house. It does make for a very unique individual. And those of you who have planets in your 11th house, oh, awesome job creating, awesome chart. It depends on how you choose to use everything. So, Steve Bannon has Mars, the planet of war and passion, in his 11th house, and wherever Mars is, that's what you make number one. That's what you throw yourself into. He also has Neptune, the dream. So he has a vision, a dream of what is best for other people and his friends, his groups, and being a friend is his haven, his escape, his dream. So this is quite lovely. Look at this 12th house, though. The 12th house is behind the scenes activities. It deals with our subconscious. And so with Saturn in that 12th house, we're talking about behind the scenes authority, that he has a subconscious 12th house, subconscious fear of not being the power. And so with the 12th house strong, that is the person who is the power behind the throne. Not just because it's 12th house, but because of Saturn being there. You can have Neptune in your 12th house and you're not the power behind the throne. With Saturn there, there is the desire to be. There's also the need to be in command behind the scenes, and that fits beautifully. And he's working through authority issues from past lives. Is Venus there? Venus is love, it's beauty, it's money, and so he loves being alone, and he can create a very beautiful private life. Now he is a Sagittarian, and he's got, of course, the sun in the first house in his solar chart. Sagittarius is a person who loves to expand things. Sagittarius wants freedom, spread your wings and soar. And Sagittarius is able to see the big picture. And this, we'll look and see what is triggered from Trump's chart to Bannon's chart. So you'll see how that comes into play. And he's got Mercury in the first house, so he thinks about himself, he talks about himself. That's cool. Most people in their solar chart have Mercury in the first because Mercury is always so close to the sun. Now, his north node is in the second house of income and finances and values. And so he can create more wealth for himself. I certainly don't hold that against anybody. I wish I had that. I don't. So, you know, hats off to whoever does. Now, let's take a look at what Steve Bannon triggers in Trump, because as his great advisor, got so many papers here, here we go. As his advisor, he has a very powerful influence over Trump. We've seen lately where Trump has brought him into meetings that an advisor of his level would never be brought into intelligence meetings. So we see the influence and the impact that Steve Bannon has on Trump. So let's look at it literally. Let's start again with Jupiter. Jupiter expands. Jupiter in Trump's 10th house gives him more fame, more recognition, but it expands whatever it touches. For those of you wanting degrees, Jupiter is 23 Gemini. Trump's Uranus is 17 Gemini, his north node is 20 Gemini, and his sun is 22 Gemini. So what Jupiter here does is it expands everything about Trump's 10th house, which is to be unpredictable, to be very successful as a leader, but to be king. The sun, I am in charge. Okay. Steve Bannon's Uranus, the planet of rebellion, shaking things up, and his south node, which can indicate a draining of energy in that area. Both Uranus, I'll start with Uranus, the great awakener, the great rebel. It is the opposite of Saturn, tradition, restriction, do it the traditional way. With Saturn in Trump's 11th house, we know that in a group he has to be the leader. Okay, Uranus shakes that up. Uranus says bust loose from that. And hang on one second. There we go. With Uranus on Trump's Venus, this is an aspect of fun and games, excitement. In a social relationship, in a romantic relationship, this brings lots of fun. Whether it's emotional, sexual, doesn't matter. It is busting loose. And so there's the busting loose thing. Now the South Node, Steve Bannon's South Node, sits on Trump's Saturn, which can drain some of his power and authority in groups, and can also, the Venus South Node conjunction from chart to chart is a very karmic placement. The South Node indicating that they have been friends, they have cared about each other in past lives, and it's happening again. Now look at Steve Bannon's Pluto. Pluto is the planet of control. It sits on Trump's Mars. Mars is passion, Mars is energy. It can be sex, it can be temper, it can be warfare. It is behind the scenes because it's behind the ascendant, and the person who controls his passion, Steve Bannon. When I say controls it, he literally will tell Trump how to direct his anger, his passion, whether verbally or non-verbally. Now, we don't have Steve Bannon's birth time, so his moon is either in Trump's 12th house, influencing all of his behind-the-scenes activities, or in his first house, influencing Trump very personally. I would love to know Steve Bannon's birth time. Bannon's Mars. That's what we throw ourselves into. It's passion, it's warfare, it's what we fight for, fight with. Triggers Trump's Jupiter. Jupiter in Trump's second house can bring wealth. Now, conversely, of course, Trump's Jupiter is on Bannon's Saturn. I'll go into that, Mars rather, I'll go into that in 1 second. But he fires up Trump's passion about money, about truth, interestingly enough, about things. Now, Trump doesn't have any third house planets, but Bannon's Neptune, Saturn, and Venus sit in Trump's third house, inspiring him, helping him express himself more concisely, perhaps, more traditionally. And Venus is there giving him good ideas, happy ideas, positive ideas. Bannon's Sun and Mercury are both in Trump's fourth house of home, family, real estate. Trump would consider Bannon like a family member. This is a very important placement. The Sun, the center of our life, encourages Trump to put his family as the center of his life. He needs no encouragement because his family really is vitally important to him. But Bannon's Mercury, his conscious mind, sits on Trump's south node. So his north node and his south node are both triggered by Bannon. And this is a communication tie from past lives. How interesting that this would show up, now. I mean, the timing on this is incredible. And then Bannon's north node is on Trump's vertex in the fifth house, triggering the desire to gamble, to have fun, to take a chance. Very, very interesting. Now, let's reverse this and let's look at what Trump triggers in Bannon. Here we go. Okay. I don't have all of that. I didn't put all of Bannon's planets in because I only put the ones that are actually triggered. So, Trump's Sun, North Node, and Uranus trigger Bannon's Jupiter. Jupiter in the seventh gives you a wonderful relationship with lots of people, and Trump expands this. It triggers a rebellion too in Bannon. I'm not sure Bannon needs that encouragement, but there it is. So they can be very good partners, and Trump can help Bannon outreach to others. Now, Trump's Mercury, Saturn, and Venus are in Bannon's eighth house. Remember, this is a solar chart. So in the eighth house of other people's money and other people's values, that's what we're talking about. Also secrets. And so Trump's Mercury is there, so he opens the door to many ideas, many secrets. Trump's Saturn and Venus, serious and love. I'm being very bottom line on these interpretations. There's a lot more to interpreting it, but because so many of you may not know how to read a chart, I'm keeping it very, very simple, and yet it's going to hit the nail on the head. Saturn, Trump's Saturn holds Bannon to a certain level. There's a certain restrictive influence, which is fine, but a loving influence, because otherwise Bannon wants to rebel, wants to bust loose. And so there is a kind of a holding it down by Trump, not necessarily literally, but figuratively. Also, the messages are delivered non-verbally. You don't have to say it. You just have to be there, blinking and breathing, and the other person gets the message. Now, Trump's Pluto and Mars and Ascendant are all in Bannon's ninth house. Pluto, the planet of transformation or control, is there, reinforcing Bannon's Pluto in his own ninth house. Trump's Mars, gunfire, anger, reinforces the need of Steve Bannon to be in control, and his Ascendant, Trump's Ascendant, triggers the need for control, the amplification of his desire to be in control. So they're I've noticed in many of the comparisons, many of the chart comparisons that I'm doing now between Trump and his advisors and the people around him, there's a very strong Pluto emphasis, understandably, control and power. Okay, Trump's Jupiter and Neptune sit in Bannon's 11th house of friends. Neptune there, Trump's Neptune amplifies Bannon's Neptune, so that friends and groups are the dream come true, the outlet, the haven. Trump's Jupiter reinforces Bannon's anger and his dream, the ideal. I want to say a utopian dream, perhaps, because that's what Neptune can be. So we have the Alpha, Mars, and Neptune, the Omega, the first and the last, in the 11th house of Steve Bannon's chart, and Trump amplifies it. Very, very interesting. Trump's South Node and Moon sit on Bannon's Mercury. This can be personal drain, personal loss for Bannon. As I said, they have a communication connection from past lives, as well as a loving connection from past lives. But Trump's moon can encourage Bannon to communicate, but the South Node can drain that on some level, either causing him to say the wrong thing or not say enough or say too much. We'll just have to wait and see how that works out. And Trump's vertex is on Bannon's North Node in his second house of money, so that there's money to be made from this relationship. There was one other thing I was going to mention to you before I end this particular Trumpology report, and that's the full moon on February 10th. That's 2017. As I'm videoing this, that's just 9 days away. That eclipse sits on Bannon's Pluto in his 9th house, reinforcing his absolute need for power and control or total transformation. I think it's easier if I show you this chart. The eclipse, the full moon, brings his need for control to the surface. And whether he uses it for out with the old, in with the new, whether he uses it for death and rebirth, symbolic death and rebirth, whether he uses it for control or transformation, only time will tell. And eclipses are strongest 3 to 4 months after they occur. So we're talking about this really showing up in May and June. So lots to tell every single day. I hope you've enjoyed this Trumpology report. I think I've covered everything. If not, next time I will. And join me again when, once again, we take a look at what's going on with Trump and the people around him. Until then, I'm going to leave a thought with you. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so with that thought, I want to say, God bless the United States of America, and God bless all of you.